My blood runs
Okay, you can
cold.
see I'm totally wiped
My
out right
memory
now.
has just
But
been
there's something I
told.
wanted to
My
comment on. Let me
prophetic
do that now.
centerfold.
America's man of the year used to say things like this to me, okay? He used to say, well, you're lucky you're not in jail or prison or stuff like that hasn't happened to you. I've got a master's degree in American literature. And I'm lucky I'm not in jail or prison and so on. I used to think, what is he talking about, you know? So here's what he was talking about, okay? He's talking about he was lucky that he was not in jail or prison for male raping me while I was asleep at night. That's what he was talking about when he's looking at me. He's talking about himself. He was the one who was lucky he was not in jail or prison for that. I mean, never did anything wrong, that I was never breaking the law or wanting to break. I was a literary scholar and a writer. And then I had day jobs that I worked responsibly. So when I heard this kind of thing from him, I was thinking, I'm lucky I'm not in jail or prison. For Christ's sake. Oh, really, huh? This is a normal way of looking at somebody like me. So now I'm in my 70s and I suddenly realized what that meant. He was talking about himself. And that's all. I mean, to make sure that he wouldn't go to jail or prison, he made sure to have me declared to be crazy. So he went all out in pulling that fraud over on me. I didn't know the first thing about these kind of things. And he successfully did that. Why? Nothing I ever said against him would ever be believed by anybody. So it seemed to him, with what I had written in that novel that eventually became titled Otherworld, it seemed to him with that first chapter there, it's not the first chapter of Otherworld, but the original book that I was writing had the title Trinyan Halakha. And the first chapter was, the first chapter is in the appendix to Otherworld. Okay? And I think it's still called Trinyan Halakha. I haven't looked at that book for years, but it's all about the sexual experiences of a woman from a woman's point of view. And so when the man of the year read that, he was thinking, oh my God, I've been raping this guy, and it's starting to come to consciousness here. He's identifying with a woman in sex. So he may become conscious somehow of what I was doing. So he made sure to have me declared to be crazy. He read that chapter and he just went berserk that I was full out crazy for writing that kind of thing. So there it is. I was lucky I was not in jail, huh? For writing a chapter like that a Catholic priest, the head of the Deaf Archdiocese of Washington, D.C., called the most beautiful piece of writing he had ever read. Okay? Like 20 years after I'd been declared crazy, when he read that chapter, that's what he said to me. I had him read it, and he said, the poem. I said, the poem? What are you talking about, the poem? I gave him the whole novel. Wow, the poem. The poem, he said, that chapter, the chapter that the man of the year began his fraud to have me declared to be crazy based on his reading of that chapter.
You guys are by the balls. You're out pointed. You're coming up
I
here.
was lucky I was not in jail or prison, huh? Outside the United States, all back to my homes. Shuasi, if you're out there and able to see this, what is your heart telling you about all this? Where are you? He's saying, when I'm not in jail and prison, now what are you doing? My life is bleeding out of me as I'm getting older and older. I've been waiting around to try to get some proof that you're there, and I'm not seeing anything at all. I'm starting to wonder about this. It's now been the length of time that the United States devoted to its war with Japan. And the man of the year was in that war. It was very important to his identity. I have the exact length of time he was in the war. It was like 3 years, 5 months, and so many days. I've surpassed that amount of time in trying to get together with you, something I never have dreamed I'd be doing. Demonized the way they were in our family. The Japanese were thoroughly demonized in our family and across the United States as well, man. In the novels, in the movies we saw, and my true love, what's the word? Suddenly I've forgotten the Hebrew word. It's zivug. My zivug is a Japanese woman, and I'm lucky I'm not in jail or prison, and I got no proof for 3 years, 8 months, and 26 days that I've been believing that this Japanese woman is my zivug.
My blood runs cold. My memory has just been sold. My girlfriend is a Centerfold.
Bye for now. Let me add this footnote, okay? I've often said that I will often too, since I've been confronted with this absolutely cruel reality that's been misperceiving me and punishing me all over the place, not allowing me to have a single thing I ever wanted, okay? Talking about the United States here. My mind is like setting up a parallel. I'm supposed to like being in the United States. It's treated me this way somehow. It's supposed to be somehow it's okay, and it's going to be resolvable that my life has been lost to treatment like this. Unjust treatment on the level of what I'm calling a human rights atrocity. I'm supposed to like that somehow and be made okay with it. Well, what's the parallel in my mind? That I'm also going to be madly in love with a former enemy of the United States. It was thoroughly demonized throughout my childhood in our family. And so what is my mind saying, basically? It's saying I'm supposed to like this horrific life that's been meted out to me in the United States, and a parallel for that is I'm madly in love with a former enemy, a really thoroughly demonized enemy of the United States, Japan. Okay? Not only was my father in that war, but relatives of my Aunt Rosemary, blood relatives, were in that war as well. Okay? One of them was in the Battle of Iwo Jima. Okay? Which to Americans is a horrific battle, but you know, I've been educated by the Japanese that these battles that are commemorated in the United States were far worse for the Japanese than people here in the United States. No. Nevertheless, I'm raised in a family that has an Army veteran that was in that Battle of Iwo Jima, okay? And another one from Aunt Rosemary's family these are cousins of hers, was in Guadalcanal. I don't even know where that was, but that was apparently a memorable battle as well. And how do these veterans in our family respond to having to our perception as kids of their having been in these battles? Okay. Well, the best way to describe the way they behaved is to say that they wouldn't talk about these experiences at all. They would just say, they wouldn't even say anything. You would hear they were in that battle. They would never say a word about it. What did that tell you? Well, it tells you that those experiences were so awful for them, they're not going to talk about them at all. Okay, but they were absolutely crucial to their identity. So it wasn't just my father that was in the war against Japan. It was these relatives of Aunt Rosemary. And who was Aunt Rosemary? Aunt Rosemary was the most precious person beside my mother in my life. That's who she was. And her older sister, who she dearly loved and who used to let me and my family stay for free in her Ocean City trailer for summer vacations. Her husband was the one who was in the Battle of Iwo Jima. This older sister who I came to love as well. She was a wonderful person like Aunt Rosemary. So, like I say, it's not just my father who was like Satan's son. It was these other men who were good. Now, let me say a little bit more about them, okay? The one who was in the Battle of Iwo Jima was the husband of Aunt Rosemary's favorite sister, her oldest sister, who became, I would say, a dear friend of me and my family after we got married, my wife and I, because she extended friendship to us because Aunt Rosemary loved us. So this other cousin, what did he do for a living? He was a government photographer, and he photographed all those bodies brought home from that bizarre colony set up in Africa by a religious zealot of some kind. Was his name Jones? Anyway, the entire community committed suicide by taking some kind of poison drink, and when the bodies from that colony came back to the United States, he photographed them. I'm just mentioning this because I want to say these were real people in my life who, and this aspect of their identity, their involvement in that war was crucial to their identity. I mean, this is an Iwo Jima veteran, okay? Now, or a Guadalcanal veteran, even though I don't even know where Guadalcanal is. I don't. I don't know where it is, but it was apparently a big battle in World War II. Now, let me put this on pause. I'm getting wiped out by emotional blackout. Okay, my emotional blackout wiped out what I was going to say, but on the other side of the family, the demonic father's side, okay, we have what's generally described as a war hero, somebody who won medals during World War II. And this man was in the war against Hitler, okay? And I'm getting wiped out what I wanted to say about him now. But what I wanted to say was his identity was, when you just saw the man, this is a World War II veteran who was a tank driver in World War II, who got hit by an incoming artillery shell and nearly killed at the end of the war. When you looked at him, that's what you thought, okay? So when you looked at the husband of Aunt Rosemary's sister, this is a man who was in the Battle of Iwo Jima. That's what you saw. When you looked at her other cousin, this is another Marine veteran who was in another big battle of World War II. This is their identity as adults in American society. This is who they were. So I've got all this influence on me, including Norman Mailer is my favorite American author, right? What is his most famous book? The Naked and the Dead, about the war against Japan. And the Japanese are thoroughly demonized in his novel, which is the most famous American novel about World War II. The Naked and the Dead. There are two. One is The Naked and the Dead. The other is From Here to Eternity. I think the guy's, I should know this, James Jones. Wow, I don't remember now, and stage fright and fear and everything else coming on me. But my favorite author is Norman Mailer, and he's talking about the war against Japan. That's his identity. He's the writer of the most famous novel about World War II in America. So it's not just this satanic father of mine who's influencing me in my thoughts about Japan. I got all these other influences which are, I gotta say, demonizing. Let's face it. They're demonizing influences, and through all of that, I'm gonna say, I'm in love, head over heels, with a Japanese woman. And at the same time, I've been nearly destroyed by society that has quite cruelly misperceived me and unjustly treated me throughout my life. And so I'm like setting up a parallel. I can't possibly like this American society. So I'm saying, hey, here's something I shouldn't like, Japan, and I love it. I don't like you and what you've done to me, but here's something I should not like. I should not like you, right, in America for what you've done to me. But I should not like these folks, and yet I do. I love them. Well, my mind is working that way, and it's been the length of time the United States devoted to World War II that I've been trying to get something started with someone I believed reached out to me from this country that was at war with the United States and is now, if you hear the descriptions by the news media, is one of America's closest allies. Well, okay. But anyway, I'm just thinking things out today because I got plenty of time to think. Nothing happening. I got bags packed for over a year. More than a year. I've had my bags packed to leave the United States, clothes on my back to get the hell out of here. I just don't want to go alone. I want to bring my family with me later, or with me now, however it's going to work. So these are my thoughts while I'm here in limbo, in the life that's now just kind of bleeding out of me day by day here as I'm getting older and older, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. Bye for now.